William Golding's Lord of the Flies, summary of Chapter 1. The Sound of the Shell. Ralph climbs down rocks and heads towards the water. Ralph hears a bird. Then he hears a voice asking him to wait. Ralph sees a fat boy coming. The boy complains about getting tangled up in the plants. Then he asks where a grown-up is. Ralph says he doesn't think there are any grown-ups on the island. The boys look at a burned scar on the ground. They see a tree trunk cut by a plane crash. The fat boy says that their plane had been attacked, and after the pilot dropped them off, there was a crash. The scar on the island was made by the plane's cabin hitting the ground and then being dragged out to sea by waves. Note: the beginning of Lord of the Flies shows a beautiful island being scarred because of the actions of humans. Although the fat boy had asked the blond boy for his name and had been answered, Ralph did not ask for the fat boy's name. To get Ralph to ask for his name, the fat boy says that there must be other boys who survived. They should get everyone's name. Still, Ralph seems uninterested in learning his companion's name. Finally, the fat boy says that he doesn't care what anyone calls him as long as they don't call him by the name he was called at school, Piggy. Ralph laughs and starts yelling, "Piggy, Piggy!" Piggy says, "I said I didn't want..." Ralph just keeps laughing and repeating Piggy. Ralph takes off his clothes and runs into the water. He swims like a fish and asks Piggy if he will swim too. Piggy says since he has asthma, he never learned to swim. Piggy reluctantly takes off his clothes and sits in the water. Boys talk and learn about each other. Ralph's dad is a commander in the Navy. Piggy's parents are dead. He used to live with his aunt. Before the war and the plane crash, he lived at school. Ralph says his father will come and save them, but Piggy says that the pilot said that an atom bomb had been dropped and everyone at home was dead. Piggy says that the evacuated British schoolboys will have to stay on the island until they die because no one knows where they are and no one will come rescue them. The boys get out of the water, get dressed, and discuss what they should do. Piggy insists that they should do something. He says they need to find other survivors. Ralph says he has already explored and determined they are on an island. Ralph smiles, and Piggy thinks that Ralph appreciates Piggy's intelligence, but Ralph is smiling because he thinks he can become boss of the island. Ralph sees something in the water. He thinks it is a stone, but Piggy excitedly tells him it is a conch shell. The boys get it out of the water, and Piggy tells Ralph to blow into it to call the other boys. At first, Ralph could only produce a farting noise, but with Piggy's instructions, he finally used the shell to make a very loud, deep call. Children begin to appear. Johnny, who is around 6 years old, is first. 3 other children Johnny's age come out of the jungle next. A small boy around Piggy's age follows. Soon it seems like boys are everywhere. Eric and Sam, who are twins, come up to sit by Ralph. A whole line of boys dressed in choir robes comes up. Their leader asks where the man with the trumpet is, and Ralph explains there is no man. There is just Ralph himself and a conch shell. Jack Meridew, the leader of the choir, talks to Ralph, and the other choir boys start to move out of their line. Jack tells them to stay in line. Because it is so hot with their choir robes on, a choir boy named Simon faints. Jack lets the others lift the boy up onto a rock, and they all sit down. Then he tells the choir boys to leave the fallen boy alone. He says the boy was always fainting. The choir boys laugh. Jack asks Ralph if it is true that there are no grown-ups. Ralph says that it is true. Piggy timidly says that that is why Ralph blew into the conch shell, to call a meeting. Piggy starts talking about the boys' names, and Jack says, "You're talking too much. Shut up, fatty." Ralph says that Piggy's name is Piggy, not Fatty, and all of the boys laugh and shout out, "Piggy! Piggy!" Jack says, "We've got to decide about being rescued." Jack wants the others to call him by his last name, not by Jack, a kid's name. Ralph says, "Seems to me we ought to have a chief to decide things." A small choir boy named Henry says he wants to go home. Note, the boys range in age from 6 to 12. Jack says he is the choir leader, so he should be the island leader. Roger, a choir boy, says they should vote. Ralph agrees, and they vote. The choir dutifully votes for Jack when Ralph asks, "Who wants Jack for chief?" The others vote for Ralph. Ralph is chosen as the leader. Ralph tells Jack that the choir belongs to Jack. Jack says he and the choir will be hunters. Jack, at first upset and embarrassed because he was not chosen as the leader, begins to like Ralph. Jack tells the choir that they can take off their choir robes, and he and they do. Ralph and Jack decide to explore the island to be sure it is an island. Piggy wants to go with them, but he is rudely rejected. Ralph and Jack choose to take a boy named Simon with them. Jack shows them that he has a knife in a sheath on his belt. Jack tells Piggy, "We don't want you." Piggy says that he knew Ralph first. Piggy asks Ralph to explain why Ralph told the others about Piggy's hated nickname. Ralph uncaringly says that Piggy's better than Fatty. Ralph leaves Piggy behind. He, Jack, and Simon, the boy who had fainted earlier, leave to explore the pink granite cliff leading up to the island's mountain top. The three boys enjoy playing and wrestling each other as they climb up to the top of the island's mountain. They often make happy exclamations like "Wacko," "Wizard," "Smoshing." As they follow an animal track, they find their way blocked by a huge boulder. Together the boys push the boulder out of the way and stand on top of the mountain. The boys feel like they are standing at the bow of a ship. They are certainly on an island. They can see all around themselves. The island is surrounded by a coral reef which protects it from big waves. They see a big granite rock out in the water. They see no villages, smoke, or towns. They are excited and happy to see that they can be leaders of their own island, which has plenty of food and water. As they head back down the mountain, the boys discover a small wild pig that is tangled up in vines. Jack pulls out his knife, but pauses too long, thinking about killing a living creature. The pig escapes from the tangle of vines and runs away. Jack is ashamed, especially when Ralph asks him why he had not killed the pig. Jack says he had planned to kill the pig. He had been looking for where to stab it. He promises that he will kill the next time he has a chance.